Today, on Weenie, as you may have suspected, the sixth and final legendary creature for Weenie is Nissa, Vastwood Seer, a foil Nissa Vastwood Seer. 2-1 green for a 2/2 elf scout. This legendary creature enters the battlefield and allows you to search your library for a basic forest card. Reveal that card, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. That's actually a fantastic ability either in Commander or Tiny Leader because, of course, when your Commander or Tiny Leader is destroyed, they go back to the command zone and cost an additional 2 colorless mana each time they have left the command zone. So the first time you cast Nissa, Vastwood Seer, she would only be 3 mana, but the second time she'd be 5. Of course, that's not as big a deal because when Nissa comes into play, you get to search for a basic force to put into your hand. Immediately, she's cut the commander cost in half. So every time you cast her, she only costs at most, she's going to be 1 more mana than you have, and even then, you'll be able to search for more land as soon as you cast her again. But it's that secondary ability. Aside from how well elves fit into any elf deck, and having her as a commander is fantastic, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control several or more lands, you exile Nissa, then return her to the battlefield, transformed under her owner's control as Nissa, Sage Animist. Now, this Nissa has so much going for her. The original Nissa Ravane card was a very, very focused on just elves. And, of course, Nissa Worldwaker in M15 was more focused on green mana and basically turning all of your lands into an army. I loved how Nissa Worldwaker allowed you to draw a land and then just suddenly turn it into a creature, so you would never have a quote-unquote dead draw from the top of your library. But this Nissa allows you to reveal the top card of your library, and if it's a land, we put it into your hand, onto the battlefield. Otherwise, you put it into your hand. That is a card draw no matter what. And that's the +1 ability. She starts off with 3, but between just having her, just putting this into play, you get to search that land, and you get it into your hand. You can immediately play it that turn if you haven't played a land yet. The second ability, as soon as you flip her, though, you reveal the top card. If it's a land, you put it into play. So Nissa, Sage Animist, and Nissa, Vastwood Seer pay for themselves for the commander cost. You should always have enough mana to recast it if something happens. Now, of course, in yesterday's episode of Weenie Envy, we saw what her -2 ability was. By taking 2 loyalty off, you put Ashaya, the Awoken World, into play. Now, these two interact very well. Like all of the legendary creatures, the Flipwalkers from Magic Origins, they all have a way to protect themselves. But Nissa, essentially being 3 mana for a 2/2 that becomes Sage Animist, and then immediately putting out this 4/4, you essentially paid 3 mana for a 4/4 creature, but that 3 mana, of course, changes. Ashaya, the Awoken World, can stick around. You now have 2 permanents that your opponent has to deal with, and Ashaya can protect Nissa, which I hope is what's going to happen in the storyline. I have my suspicions something might happen with Ashaya. But again, that second ability, being able to put out a creature that can protect her, obviously that knocks her down to just 1 loyalty. But if you're playing green, you most likely have other elves that can get out and help block. Plus, you're going to be able to draw cards with Nissa's ability. Perhaps you've even been able to play a land, or you've been able to get enough mana to cast something else, then play a land to flip Nissa, Sage Animist, and you cast other creatures to protect her. And search for, revealing the top card of your library. If it's a land, you put it into play. If it's not, you put it into your hand. You can cast it. Your opponent gets to see the card, obviously. That is a very, very slight drawback. But even, no matter how you look at it, Nissa is very powerful for Commander and Tiny Leader. And, we haven't even looked at that last ability. See, she starts at 3, and if you can get her up to 7 or 8, and you can -7 her, you get to untap 6 target lands, and they become 6/6 elemental creatures. Now, these lands most likely have been in play the entire time, meaning they won't have summoning sickness. You would suddenly be able to swing out for 36 damage, 6 times 6. So that's 36 damage, and then you also have Ashaya in play. That's 40 damage, just right there. That is Commander. That is lethal. That's all the effect you'll ever really need. And there's so many other cool cards coming in Battle for Zendikar that make Nissa even more powerful. Of course, she's very, very land-oriented. Nissa Vastwood Seer works very well with cards like Exploration and Burgeoning. In fact, see, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands, you exile Nissa and return her. So you can even use Burgeoning's effect on your opponent's turn when they play a land. You can put a land into play, and that triggers allowing her to become Nissa Sage Animist. Now, you don't get to use her ability on your opponent's turn unless you're playing blue-green and have Teferi's Emblem somehow, but again, you have to. I mean, there's so many different combos that Nissa works in. I mean, I'm going to be playing her in a Marath deck because you need mana, and she helps search for those lands. A basic forest here, a basic forest there, that's not too bad. Being able to reveal one off the top of the library and then put it right into play, excellent, because that doesn't count as your one land per turn. Again, this Nissa card is one of the most powerful cards in Magic Origins, perhaps one of the most powerful Planeswalker cards that have been printed to date. I mean, we've revealed Kiora as of this, the airing of this. We've seen Obnixilis Reignited. Uh, we've seen the new Gideon card. None of them are really that over the top broken, but green gets so many card draw effects and so many creature generation effects that, again, Nissa is one of the most powerful Planeswalker cards in current standard, or perhaps even in Commander of Tiny Leaders, because of all the effects. I mean, in Tiny Leaders or even in standard in Commander, you would be able to play her with Azusa, being able to play extra lands per turn. You could play her with just so many effects. Again, one of the greatest cards to come out of Magic Origins, and I happen to get a foil one. And yeah, I'm going to leave you to kind of mull this over the weekend and think about all the things you can do and what you have to do to get around somebody else playing it. Obviously, Nissa is a weenie creature that you would envy someone else playing. But while you're thinking about it, I hope you're having a wonderful morning, a wonderful afternoon, and or a wonderful evening. And I hope tomorrow is even better. Take care, everyone.